to talk about are in-game trophies and achievements. Now, there's something about getting trophies and achievements in game that gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside that, oh wow, you've accomplished something. And other times it gives you that feeling of, why did I just get a trophy or achievement for dying 25 times? What's the point of that, right? Um, Let alone the times where you have to die 5,000 times for a trophy, where it's just like 7 days to die, where there's, I forget exactly how many times you have to die. Maybe it's 2,500, but man, is that annoying? Like it's not even feasible, really. It's not just die, and then it's also kill other players and all these crazy grinding things that just takes the fun out of the game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that it's important to realize that trophies need to find a balance. There are some things where literally you start up the game, you go through the first cutscene, and it gives you a trophy for going through the cutscene, and you've done absolutely nothing.
Right.
Like that's just ridiculous. It's way too easy. I don't know that they need to do that to have people chase carrots. However, there are some things where I think the trophies are very important. For example, in Neo, when I played that recently, there was an item I never used. It was called a Hyako mask, and never tried it, never used it, didn't care. Well, there was a
Hmm.
trophy that was a vague riddle that said, "Put on the ugly mask and kill an enemy" or something like that. And so I realized it was talking about that mask. I put it on, and the mask actually blew fire at an enemy. So if I hadn't looked at the trophies and hadn't seen what
Yeah.
that and figured that out, I mean, I would have completely bypassed that element of the game altogether.
Right.
So it made me discover a new item in the game and it made me discover a new side to that. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of trophies are like that. When you go and look at the trophy list, like, oh wow, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know that there was a hidden boss here, something like that. I do think that there are some trophies that are dedicated to the hardcore gamers, and I think those trophies, also need to be balanced. I mean, how much time do you really expect someone to sink into the, farming something?
See, I don't know if it's hardcore gamers that really care, because sometimes those hardcore gamers care about 100% in a game, but not necessarily the trophies or achievements. Because, like I said, sometimes it makes you go so far out of the way that most sane people wouldn't want to go that far to do it, right? They'd say, "Well, I'm almost done with all the trophies. What's left? Okay, I can get these." Um, and they'll say, "Well, I have to do this and play for another 60 hours of mindless grinding." Nah, I'm not going to do that. Right? I think the hardcore gamers, let's take Dark Souls for example. I bet there's a lot of people that play that game and they're in their ninth new game plus and still haven't platinum that game. They're hardcore gamers, but they don't really care about the trophies. I think trophies I think there's a small niche group that love trophies, that collect trophies. They got websites, they got trackers, and I think it's great. I think it's great for the games. Um, I think it ruins online gaming. I think that sometimes you'll get in a room on an online game and people are trying to get the online trophies and completely ruin the whole aspect of the online game. It's not competitive now. It's how can we break this game to get all the trophies, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
sometimes you got to bug your friends. Hey, get online, help me get this trophy. So you got to help your friend grind. So instead
right,
of him grinding himself, it's two of you grinding just to help him get a trophy.
right.
Um,
But with all that said, these this small group of people, which a small group of all gamers, uh, I I have a feeling trophies sell games. I think let's just say that, let's say me and you created a game and we gave it a platinum trophy and we made it $5 on the PSN network. I bet you almost every, and we made the trophies easy enough to get, and you'd get a platinum. I mean, almost all the trophy hunters, achievement hunters, would buy that game just so they can get an easy platinum. That's
yeah,
how crazy
I don't know
this
how
is.
many people that would be. I think that when Xbox first did their achievements,
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say first that that was super confusing to me. I thought the gamer points you could spend those on items or something
Yeah.
on in-game items, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
super disappointed to find out it was essentially worthless. It was just a number.
Right.
But I think at the time it was a new thing that they tried out and got people involved in that. Hey, who can get the highest gamer score? For this game or highest gamer score all together. And I think that PlayStation had to follow up just to compete in the market. But I
Mhm.
think now it just doesn't seem as important to me anymore.
Well, Nintendo didn't think they needed to. They still don't think they need to, right? With the Switch, they refuse to put an in-game achievements system in their system in
Yeah,
their
but I
console.
was thinking about that when we were talking about this as a topic, and no, Nintendo doesn't do that specifically, but they kind of do something similar. Because let's take Super Smash Brothers on the GameCube.
Okay,
To unlock Mewtwo, you had to play that game for 20 hours. Did you know that?
I know. I didn't know that. No,
So what I did is what many people did is I just left the game on 2-player mode, left the
no time limit.
controllers. Yeah, no time limit, left the controllers still, and went to work.
Yeah,
Came, I mean,
yeah. That's a little silly to have that
yeah,
as a requirement. But that's how fighting games used to be back in the day. I remember, you had to do a lot of crazy stuff in Mortal Kombat to unlock all the characters. Remember?
yeah. But that's what
Um,
I'm saying. I mean,
right.
there's always been some level of trophy or achievement in these games.
Yeah.
Depending on how much you play them and how much you unlock.
Yeah.
Maybe the old Nintendo days are an exception just because the cartridge couldn't hold that kind of data. But
Right.
ever since the Super Nintendo days, I would say that unlockables in games
Yeah,
have been.
to me, those are different than trophies and achievements because a trophy nowadays on the Xbox or the PlayStation or Steam, you have all. I can look at other people's trophies as a whole, not just one game that they've done. I mean, I know how far they've gotten in a game, and of course they can make it private if they don't want to share that information. But you can go and look and you can see how big of a gamer they are, or what they're wasting their time on, or wow, they played My Little Pony so they could get trophies, right? Which I know a few people that have done similar things. We won't name any names, but it's just it's so much different now. I love the I love the in-game achievements, like to unlock characters. Now maybe that 20-hour one is kind of stupid because you can break it. You can easily get it. But to unlock, oh man, what? Like sometimes there's secret endings or something that you have to do something crazy to get. I think those are really good for games. And I'm not saying trophies and achievements aren't, but I think they are abused a lot to the point of ruining some games, especially the online aspect. So I wish they would get rid of online trophies, online achievements, and just kind of
Well,
focus.
my point is that they kind of go hand in hand. So talking about Dark Souls, I mean, there's so many items. Uh, you know, like one of the trophies is for getting all the rings, but
Yeah.
some of those rings require grinding and put a lot of time into the game for the covenants. So you get a trophy for the rings, but that encourages you to explore the game more.
Yeah.
So
So those are the type of trophies and achievements, and you're right. It does let you. It's more online than not online for those things. But there's, I mean, you can go in there and you can summon a character and kill them and get the item for the ring, and you can do it 30 times,
can
and
you
then
do
you can
that?
take turns for another person to do it another 30 times, and that's not the way the game's supposed to be played, is it?
Why don't we do that?
I I know. Maybe we should, but
That sounds
but
exciting.
yeah, no, it's sounds very boring, and that kind of stuff is boring. And I mean, it doesn't. The beauty of that, it doesn't ruin the game for anybody else. It's not like if we do that, we're not in a room of a bunch of people that you know we're ruining their experiences. You can just do it just by yourselves and do it. So I don't have a problem with that at all. It's just you know I forget what game it was, a racing game, and it was like a capture the flag, and you had to hold the flag for a certain amount of time. And I remember I was playing with somebody, and they were trying to hold the flag. Don't hit me! during the chat, "Don't hit me! Don't hit me! I'm trying to hold this flag so I can get the trophy." And people were just smashing into him, and this guy's getting mad because these guys aren't letting him get a trophy. And the point of the game is to not. You have to have skill. So he probably eventually got some friends, got into a match, and they all took turns holding a stupid
I,
flag.
I
And
like
now
how
that
you assume each other
diminishes
have
the point of the
friends first.
trophy, right? That diminishes the point of the trophy. A trophy to me, an achievement is, oh wow, you're skilled enough to get that, right? Like there's games out there that wow, it takes some skill to get that trophy. There's no easy way around it. And I'm not talking about the grinding ones where it takes you 150 hours to kill a certain type of enemy that's super easy to kill, but you have to kill them a million times. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about wow, it takes actual skill. A lot of fighting games are like that. If you can play ranked matches online in Street Fighter 5 and do really good and win 100 rounds or whatever it is, okay, that takes some skill. Or I think another fighting game, if you can win 10 in a row ranked matches, oh well, that's pretty hard because there's a lot of good players playing fighting games. So
That is very true. Yeah, I do agree with that. That was the first thing that came into my mind was like let's say Marvel vs. Capcom, for example.
yeah,
In order to get some of the trophies, you have to do some crazy combos and beat so
that's a
many
good
people in the
example.
ranked matches. I could never do it. I don't have the manual dexterity.
Yeah, you need to
I'm,
re-roll
I'm
your
an old
character.
I'm an old man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
put all mine into charisma.
Did you? Well, it's not working. So you put all yours into dry sense of humor. That's working.
I don't think that's a stat.
Yeah, jerk. That's not. Oh, okay. That's not sad.
I mean, you found out that when I came over there, a lot of it was in endurance.
No, I didn't. I promise you guys that.